My fellow Equatorians, I am Major General Max Lino, the former division commander of Anyanya Division, SPLM-IO, under the leadership of Dr. Riek Machar Teng. In the first place, I would like to greet you in this festival season of Christmas. I extend my greetings to our mothers, the unborn, old, young, and everybody all over the world. It is a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to share with you the moment of difficulties we have been passing through. I've tendered my resignation on the 20th of November. It is nearly a month. I've just wanted to take this opportunity to explain to you, my people, my constituents, to understand why I've taken this drastic decision. Before reaching that point, I just wanted to remind us or refresh our minds. We Southerners, we have been passing through all the difficult moments for a very long period. All of us, we know that detail. I don't want to go to deep history. But more specifically, I wanted to refresh our mind about the turbulence Equatorians as a region have gone through. The systematical marginalization of Equatorians in all the systems in South Sudan. When I joined SPLA late 1991, we had been meeting a lot of challenges with some questions which are unanswered. As some of you might have known, 1991 had been a very tough moment for us in Juba due to change of policy in education. We have resisted, and that forced us to come out of Juba. When we came to SPLA, most of us were over 1,000, all our students. But the question was, why all of you students and Equatorians coming out to join SPLA, whom are you coming to rule? Were you mobilized by your politicians, the late Joseph Olugo, their names surfaced? All my colleagues who were present, they have heard and witnessed for themselves. Not only that, we found in the sector of promotion, we were not seriously favored. We were not considered as to be serious partners. In our workplaces, all we had been attached people to spy on us. Whatever we do, even if we do a duplicate of whatever they do, ours is being considered more serious than theirs. Because for them, they have the full right, the full legitimacy to do whatever is good for them to do. But for us, it is an offense. Now, when all this escalated to this recent fight of 2013, but before the fight, we have known very well our communities have been passing through difficult moments. 2012, Western Bargazal, the youth, their legislators, the leaders and the chiefs had been intimidated. Some ended up in prison. We have witnessed the same event happened in Yei. Our people were being intimidated, even our chiefs, our MPs were imprisoned. September 2013, the same incident happened in Madilam. I was one of the victims, arrested, intimidated, tortured because of standing for the truth. But I did not look behind. We have been preparing of how we can voice our concern, our grievances to government. All the diplomatic approaches have been frustrated. The last option we were left was maybe if we can be considered also as serious partners to rebel. Fortunately, I may term it, God have heard our prayers. The confusion of December 2013 started. The incident of 2013 December, although it was unfortunate that people were massacred, but I considered it as an opportunity for us, the grieved community of Equatoria, to stand up and challenge the situation wherever we can be considered also as equal partners. Indeed, January 2014, some of us who were in prison managed to get out through God's grace. Then immediately we started mobilizing ourselves. This time we said no. We have been called for long that we are cowards. We are women. We are given sort of names. This time, we have to start our own movement where we call SPLM-IO as an ally. And we need to be treated as equal partners. We came up with the idea of forming Remonsa, Revolutionary Movement for National Salvation. Before this movement was pronounced officially, Among us, some selfish and greed of power went and declared this movement prematurely and left us in suspension. So we said, okay, we have no option, but let us see the ways of how we can join hands as allies. This materialized and took us up to Addis Ababa to go and meet the leadership of IO, His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar. We viewed for him the same concern. We want to be as allies. He said, no, we cannot afford to have different rebel groups. We have to focus and join hands together. But our major concern was that we should not be taken for right. We want also to be recognized as equal partners because we are a region, diverse nationalities and tribes in Equatoria. We took his advice. We said, okay, it's fine. We started working together closely without any complaint. It came when we started fighting 2014, December, the first gunshot under the name of SPLM-IO, I shot it in Pageri on the 15th December 2014. That was the moment when the government started knowing that, okay, there are some rebels in Equatorial region who are affiliated to IO. 2015, we had a very serious battle in August in Pageri. We overran the garrison of Pageri. That gave us a lot of name internationally. So I was requested to take a report to Addis Ababa. When I reached Addis Ababa, Dr. Riek requested me to go to Pagak for a meeting. I must attend, and he's going to tell those senior generals who were not believing that there are people in Equatoria fighting in the name of IO, I should be an evidence to go and testify. And I took all the photographing evidence that indicated that we have done A and B and C. On reaching there, we are requested to call our fellow commanders in Equatoria. We had to have command meeting. During that process, we became dismayed, those who were present in Pagak, October 2015. There was a pronouncement from a senior officer that Equatorians do not deserve any promotion at that material time. If there is any promotion, it is to be given to White Army because most of people who died are the Nuer. Now our question was, what about those Equatorians who were protecting the Nuer in Juba? They were hiding Nuers in Juba and they died in that cause. Now I asked the same question. If we have not been recognized in the agreement, how did the 15% given for Equatoria and Barghazal come to recognition? That statement alone did not go well with some of us. We thought it was a joking. But we had been witnessing all, starting from 2015, 2016, there were rampant promotions, knowing very well that there are people already existing in Equatoria. We have not been considered for that promotion. So after all promoting, January 2016, 22 brigadiers from Equatoria, I happened to be one of them. In the list, I was number 7 among the 22 brigadiers in Equatoria, officially recognized and promoted by his leadership, Dr. Riek Machar. So there were a lot of questions concerned citizens of Equatorians were asking. There are a lot of deployments and promotions in Upper Nile. What about yours? We said, no, our time will come. And indeed, our time came this year, up to platoon. So there was a reduction in this number of officers who were promoted as a motivational factor. So as they should do work with a zeal. The message came that these people must be demoted because the new structure does not fit them. Now we call, in my division, I called for emergency meeting. We sat down with the officers. So the question was, does this structure affect Equatoria only or for the whole of South Sudan, where IO operates? I said that question I cannot answer. The best thing is let us go for a meeting. There I will call Dr. Riek. Then I put in a loudspeaker. You hear what he can say for yourself. Our chairman told us, those rampant promotions, there were too many senior officers in Upper Nile. It has jeopardized work. Now he is going to demote, either he is going to take those people all to be packed in general headquarters. So the new structure is applicable because this is now becoming as a conventional army. Now, some of our officers even question, okay, if that's the case, you promote us all equally, then some of us also, since second division has been opened in here, equally like sending the senior officers of Upper Nile to headquarters, ours also should be sent to headquarters. Because that is already going to be a balancing. That did not go well. It wasn't. But in my division, I keep on pleading I struggled until none of our officers have been demoted. And I believe it was the same thing which has happened for the entire divisions in Equatoria, Western Bargazal, and Cobra division. One of my dismay, as the leader of a division, the name of promotion came in the name of Equatoria, Western Bargazal, and Cobra division. But on the top of the list, our brothers from Upper Nile have been promoted. That caused imbalancing in the leadership, because it was already our turn. Theirs has been done in 2015, 2016. 2017 became our turn. Why should that happen? For me, I felt we have been denied opportunity of leadership. That did not go well with me. What most affected me is late July, when Comrade Kenyi, Lieutenant General Kenyi Lobro, decided to join NICE for the reasons best known to him. After when we got that message, we started making communications among ourselves of how we can contain the situation. Our chairman called me. He was asking, he called other colleagues also, because lately one of my colleagues told me that he was also called and the same message was passed. So the way how we can arrest the situation was the question. So for me, my opinion was, we need to dialogue. The chairman of IO should get the chairman of NAS, whether by telephone, or they have to sit down and write memorandum of understanding. Because we are all for the same purpose. In the bush, we are challenging the government. We are enemies to government. All of us, we are enemies to government. We cannot afford to be enemies to ourselves again in the bush. That did not go well. And the same attacks continued. Finally, it happened, this attack of Keji. Again, after getting the information, he called us. That time, he got us for meeting. We called emergency meeting in the town, where we have all converged. I told him that we are for emergency meeting. I will get back to him later. That was on the 19th of October. Later, the following day, I got back on the 20th of October to him by telephone. He said, yes, what was your meeting about? I told him the meeting was, we resolved, we need to dialogue. And we cannot afford to fight among ourselves, because the consequence is not going to favor us. The little we have in our hands, we can finish it among ourselves. The enemy will come and sweep us. The moment when the enemy comes to sweep us, they will never differentiate whether you're a civilian or you're an army. All of you victims of the circumstance. So the best way is we sit down and dialogue. In his response, he told me, I wish you were a politician. I call you, you are to take your forces under you to go and rescue the situation. I said, no, the best is we need to dialogue. That is the best option. Now for me, the question which I did not ask him, now whom am I going to fight? I know I am an officer of IO. I am under his command. But if you are a commander, you are given a responsibility, you need to evaluate a situation. Whether that confrontation favors you or it won't favor you. If it doesn't favor you, you need to come with an alternative. And that's why I came with the alternative, because my position is to minimize casualty of my forces. Being a commander, you must see how you can minimize the casualties of your forces. And the casualties of civilians, you have to avoid. If you have seen there is a danger where you will not minimize the casualties of your forces, and their civilians will be victims, definitely we need to refrain from it. So I did not do that for this reason. An incident happened where the chief in Lasso was killed. One of my colleagues called him by telephone, tried to report to him about what he heard. In the course of conversation, I was present seated. He told my colleague that you and Max, we heard you have already left us, you have defected to NAS. I did not feel well during that time. Because if you check the whole of Equatoria, there was non-defection in the zone where I am as a leader. We are intact. And he knows very well that we are intact, we are under his command. Whatever good we are doing, whether he has given us assistance or not, we are still doing, all the glory goes to him. And again, to be labeled that we are defectors. I felt bad. Because my position is, as a leader, to influence decision with my senior for positive change. So if there is mistrust between me and my senior, what kind of influence am I going to make? Whatever complaint of my subordinates is to be forwarded to him. Definitely it may not be considered. Now at the end of the day, I'll be blamed that you are there just for yourself. You are not solving our problem. So these are the frustrations I entered in. I said, no, if that's the case, the best thing is I have to leave the seat. I said, if that's the case, I have to resign from my position. It's better resigning than still remaining there as a statue where I cannot influence decision for positive change. And at the end of the day, my subordinates or my followers will blame me. They'll say that I am there sitting, warming chair, doing nothing. I'm just only protecting my position or my rank. I am not for position, I'm not for rank. I am for service delivery. Where I feel I cannot more deliver service, is better I step aside. And that is the best way I thought I could do. Because our tendency in South Sudan, knowing that there is something bad taking place, we keep quiet. After being dismissed, then we say that we are vocal. That thing does not go with me. It doesn't. The best thing you tell there and then, and if it doesn't go well with you, nobody understands what you are explaining, you better resign. And that is, in the world of democracy, accepted. That is my principle. I've taken it and I'm standing by it. In this situation here, we as Equatorians, we have fallen as victims. Our fellow brothers are not recognizing us as equal partners. We have been marginalized seriously and we are being treated as second-class citizens. Now, wherever I've been working, even before this war of 2013, none of us is expected to talk about the welfare of Equatoria. If you mention Equatoria, it goes bad. And they tell you to be a tribalist. Now my question is, a person who talks about single tribe, and the one who talks about the welfare of more than 30 tribes, who is more tribal? Definitely the person who talks about a single tribe is more tribal than the person who talks about the welfare of more than 30 tribes. Equatoria is hosting more than 30 tribes. When we talk about Equatoria, we are talking about the interests of all these tribes, not an individual interest. So we need not to be labeled to be tribalistic. Actually, the person who thinks of tribalism is the person practicing tribalism. And we definitely, we know all the realities, but we are afraid to mention this. The day when I resigned, I was the most happiest person so far. Because what was tormenting me, I found it was like the yoke, which I've just lifted down. I became very light. In this situation, my advice to us fellow Equatorians, we need to be united. We should not fear to be termed as tribalistic. It is our right to voice about the concern of Equatorians. It is our right to talk about South Sudan. Because if you don't consider your welfare, how can you consider the welfare of the majority? If you don't talk about Equatoria, your constituency, how can you talk about the whole of South Sudan? If you don't talk about the welfare of your state, how can you talk about Equatoria, Upper Nile, or Bargazal? So when you are talking about your state, that is your right to express, and nobody can say that you are tribalistic. Let us treat each other with respect. This issue of internal fight, it doesn't help us. Actually, it is destroying us. If we are to fight, let us fight against oppression. Let us not fight against tribes. Fighting in Nuer as a tribe, I don't encourage it. Fighting Dinka as a tribe, I don't encourage it. All the tribes among the Equatoria are to be encouraged by other people for their selfish interest. I don't encourage it. Let us fight for injustice. Injustice in South Sudan is not only applicable for Equatoria as a region. It is also applicable even Bargazal. Among the Dinka people, there are people who are being marginalized. The tribes in Upper Nile, some are also being marginalized. Among the Nuer people, there are people who are marginalized. They are grieved. So we should not talk about Nuer, we should not talk about Dinka, we should not talk about who, or Acholi or Madi. Let us talk about the injustice that is happening and doesn't bring peace to our land. If this injustice continues like this, for me I'm saying, it will scatter us as South Sudanese. South Sudan is going to stand on 3 legs. Equatoria will stand alone, Barghazal will stand alone. Upper Nile will stand alone. There will be nothing called South Sudan. It will be called as a former country, like what is being called the former Sudan. Former Sudan comprised of South Sudan and North. So if we are not careful, South Sudan is going to be like that. Because there are some people who have the tendency of supremacy, and that tendency, it will not help us. This is my message to you. Let us get focused. Let us focus on the purpose of our being in the bush. What has brought us to the bush? What do we need to achieve? Let us not be looking at our selfish interests. The promotions which we have got, the appointments which we have got, these are nothing. Without the people, you are nothing. Your purpose is to serve people. There is difference between doing job. The job can be only for your personal interest, where at the end of the day, you earn salary. But if you are delivering service, you have turned yourself as a slave, a serviceman. Is different from doing job for yourself. You are delivering service to people, not for yourself. So we are here for service delivery. We are not for jobs, because there is difference between job seeker and a person delivering service. The issue of a spy, when I was the division commander, one was attached, that a coordinator. Now my question was, what are you coordinating here in this division of mine? Because I am the accounting officer in this division. Now what are you coordinating? What is there different that you are the one who can speak such that my leader hears you better than myself? What is that? Is it that because you are speaking in the mother language, or because you have more idea than mine? If you have more idea than mine, you give it to me. It is me to give it forward. So I said, okay, in the structure of division, where do you fit? I found out such a person has been planted as a spy. Our brothers, they don't trust Equatorians, whether in the government or in the bush here. Wherever being spied on, wherever being termed that we are speaking to enemies. But for them, they are speaking to enemies. Their brothers in Juba with Tabandengai, they are talking to them. Their brothers in Khartoum, they are talking to them. Their brothers where they are talking to them. But for you as an Equatorian, if you have found that today you have communicated to one of your brothers who is with the government, you are an enemy. Why is that? Why is that injustice? Is there fairness really? You are not fair to me. If you are fair to yourself, you need to be fair also to myself. If you can talk to your brothers and I don't complain, why do you restrict me not to talk? My talking to my brothers, what effect negatively does it bring? Has it brought anything? So these are the issues where the leadership needs to resolve. Particularly with the leadership of IO, I don't have any problem. I respect him as my leader, my mentor, Dr. Riek Machar Teny. I respect him so much. But there is issue with the ideology, with the confidence who give false informations to the leadership and they misguide our leader. So he is under pressure. He does not act independently, but he is under pressure. He is fulfilling the interests of other people. So that is the problem. So I have not much to say. I wish you all the best during this festival season until we meet with you through God's grace next year. Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you very much.